Silence blanketed the golden summit, and within that hush there lingered only the soft, ceaseless clicking of prayer beads turning in steady rhythm. One by one, the Buddha halos that had once radiated behind the monks' heads had shattered and faded when they tumbled from the heavens. Old Rulai cast his gaze about, sweeping across the bodhisattvas, venerables, and arhats. Cult Master Li had assumed the peerless beauty of Siyuyo and appeared before the gathered monks, throwing their wisdom into disarray and striking at their Buddha hearts, giving rise to impure thoughts. Even when Rulai had displayed his Dharma, summoning and animating the corporeal forms of countless Rulai within the 1,000 Buddhas pagoda, he had only managed to suppress the monks for a fleeting moment. When the Buddha light behind their heads dispersed and their bodies fell from the sky, it signified that their Buddha hearts had been broken. Buddhism cultivated the heart above all. Once the Buddha heart was destroyed and the fruit of karma tainted, the state of mind would collapse. Those who fell were no longer monks. They had become ordinary men. When they fell from the sky, they descended from a place high above the mortal realm into the mortal realm itself. Some might awaken, repent and be redeemed, yet others would abandon Great Thunderclap Monastery and enter the mundane world, struggling to break free. But bearing a secular heart, how could they easily transcend it? The beauty of Siyuyu had caused many of Great Thunderclap Monastery's upper echelons to fall, an immense loss. Yet the monastery could not fault Chinmu and the others. They had already issued warnings, and it was old Rulai who had insisted on beholding Granny C's true visage to test the Buddha hearts of all present. Naturally, there were Buddha hearts that remained firm and unmoved. These eminent monks hailed from various races. Though Granny C was beautiful, they could not perceive that beauty. Being non-human, they saw only mortal flesh. "Your cultivation is insufficient," old Rulai said, looking around and instructing the monks. "You cling to the skin's appearance and fail to perceive the Tathata. You beheld her beauty and could not restrain yourselves, yet you do not understand that what you call beauty is merely what you deem beautiful, not true beauty. For instance, Senior Brother Hai Kong, do you find her beautiful?" The one he addressed was an eminent monk of another race who had attained Tao. He replied, "We're of different races. I cannot perceive her beauty." Old Rulai smiled faintly. "Bah! If those of another race cannot see this beauty, then it is not true beauty, but only skin. Beauty resides in great truth, great thought, and great wisdom. Cult Master Li, the skin that entrances you is not beauty to all living beings. It exists only within the human word. This reveals how narrow your vision is." The monks appeared enlightened. Chinmu also felt the reasoning was sound. As expected of old Rulai, one who had demonstrated great thinking, perhaps he truly could subdue Li Qianxing, this heart devil. The reason Li Qianxing wished to become Granny C was that Granny C's beauty had disturbed his Tao heart, stirring wicked intent and driving him to covet her form. The old woman let out a low chuckle. "Old Rulai, there are 10,000 paths beneath heaven, yet my heavenly saint cult occupies but the human word. Your Buddhism speaks of 10,000 paths. Can you seize them all? Enough words. What skill do you possess to subdue me?" Old Rulai smiled and produced a bronze mirror, handing it to a venerable beside him. "Pass it to him." The venerable accepted the mirror and descended from the high platform to Granny C. The instant he beheld her face, his heart pounded violently. He immediately shut his eyes. Unwilling to look, Granny C took the mirror into her hands, gazed fondly at her reflection, and giggled. "Indeed, a woman of peerless beauty. Even I feel pity for her." Many monks glimpsed her alluring figure and found themselves struggling to restrain their thoughts. Old Rulai smiled gently. "Turn the mirror over." Granny Sai obeyed and saw within it a white skeleton, her appearance after death. "What does Cult Master Li think?" Old Rulai asked with a smile. "Even the most stunning beauty becomes nothing but bones when life ends. Do you find a skeleton pleasing?" Granny C flung the bronze mirror to the ground and crushed it beneath her foot, speaking casually. "These are but tricks to deceive the common folk. Talk of pink skeletons and such. Rulai, I understand reason, yet I refuse to live as you do, basking in splendor in some afterlife. It suffices that I live this present life to its fullest. Seeking the next life is cowardice. Your petty illusion cannot subdue me." If you believe a mirror can enlighten me, why not let me stroll through your great thunderclap monastery? Let us see whether you enlighten me first, or whether I enlighten all your young and old monks. Why not wager on it? Old Rulai's brows knit slightly. You lack wisdom. Blind sensed the worsening tide and spoke. Dow, brother! What wisdom? All this is empty talk. Why not strike directly and subdue him? Old Rulai pondered briefly before saying, Cult Master Li is the devil cult master. I shall bring him into the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda and subdue him there. Monks, your resolve is shallow and your cultivation insufficient. Remain outside the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda to assist. All the monks acknowledged and descended from the high platform. Gathering around the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda, some monks hurriedly exited from within, not daring to remain. Old Rulai smiled. Cult Master Qin, you too are a devil cult master, and your devil nature runs deep. Since ancient times, Buddhas and devils have stood opposed. Yet, as you have come seeking aid as a guest, I shall not subdue you. However, while I subdue Cult Master Li, I hope you will remain in Great Thunderclap Monastery to hear the Dharma and dispel the evil inclinations in your heart, committing fewer sins henceforth. Old Ma and Blind understood clearly. Old Rulai intended to detain them within Great Thunderclap Monastery. If he could enlighten them, so much the better. If not, he would simply prevent their departure. Qin Mu beamed. Senior brother is wise. Then we shall trouble you. I hope senior brother subdues Cult Master Li swiftly. Such merit would be immense. Old Rulai smiled and instructed, Let these benefactors remain within the monastery. A venerable hesitated. World-honoured one, many places within the monastery are sacred grounds, if they intrude. Let them, Old Rulai replied. Great Thunderclap Monastery has nothing to conceal. When the imperial preceptor came, I revealed Rulai's Mahayana Sutra. Could the evil heavenly devil cult master be worse than the imperial preceptor? Cult Master Qin is also among all living beings. There are no outsiders here. The venerable acknowledged and stepped forward to guide them. Qin Mu smiled. Senior brother, does the monastery serve vegetarian fare? I have eaten too much greasy food during the new year and wish for something light. The venerable glanced at him, revolving his prayer beads to quell the urge to subdue the devil. If Cult Master remains here, we can provide vegetarian food for a lifetime. Qin Mu laughed heartily and said to Blind, They're not afraid of us eating them into poverty. Blind snorted. Old Ma, do you think Rulai can subdue Li Tianxing? Old Ma hesitated. If one Rulai is insufficient, there are 1,000 within the Thousand Buddhas Pagoda. All are clear-natured beings who have perceived the Tathata. The chances are high, yet they have all passed on, and Cult Master Li is extraordinary. What I fear is that old Rulai may deliberately fail to subdue him, and instead trap Granny C within the pagoda. If she is confined, we shall be confined as well. The Venerable led them to the guest quarters. Benefactors reside here as you wish. The bookshelves contain all Buddhist scriptures. Feel free to peruse them. Qin Mu glanced over and indeed saw numerous scriptures. Old Ma shook his head slightly. These scriptures contain text only, no divine arts. Read if you like. The Venerable said, Divine arts cannot rival karma. Does Ma Wangshen not know this? Old Ma replied coolly, Without divine arts, how does one fend off karma? You are Rulai's disciple, thus my junior brother. Your realm is too low. Step back. Do not attempt cleverness before me. The Venerable flushed with shame and withdrew. Blind sat calmly. Old Ma and I are old. It matters little if we remain. But Mu'er, you are the cult master of Heavenly Devil cult. If you are trapped here forever, will you not wither away in old age upon this mountain? I shall find a chance to send you down. Qin Mu shook his head. We wait until Granny C recovers. Grandpa Blind, Grandpa Ma, since it is rare to visit Great Thunderclap Monastery, let us stroll about. Old Ma smiled. Have you not long wished to see the 100 Dragons' portraits? I shall take you to the reliefs. Qin Mu's eyes lit with delight. The three left the guest room and saw an old monk seated outside, chanting scriptures to the dragon Qilin. The plump beast was fast asleep, snoring thunderously. They even seek to enlighten Fatty Dragon. Qin Mu did not know whether to laugh or cry. Monk, this glutton eats half a bucket of Scarlet Fire spirit pills daily. After enlightening him, can you feed him? The old monk ceased chanting and glanced at him. I can. Qin Mu fell silent. So wealthy, continue. Old Ma then led them downward through layers of drifting clouds until they reached mid-mountain. Pointing ahead, he said, "There lie the 100 dragons' portraits." Chinmu gazed forward and saw massive pillars rising in rows. Upon each pillar was carved the relief of a heavenly dragon. Beneath them, hundreds of monks contemplated the carvings, seeking to comprehend their own paths, techniques, and divine arts. Many monks practiced their arts, transforming vital chi into dragons that soared through the sky. Buddha light shimmered brilliantly, wondrous to behold. Some monks sparred, testing what they had newly grasped. Several old monks noticed Old Ma's arrival and immediately came forward. "Senior brother has arrived." Old Ma returned their greetings courteously. An old monk exclaimed joyfully, "In those days, senior brother was unmatched in splendor. We still remember your dashing bearing." Chinmu stepped before a dragon pillar and studied it carefully, praising it in awe. The 100 forms of the heavenly dragon were all rendered with lifelike vigor, each stone carving capturing its majestic bearing in full. Old Ma excelled at carving. The wooden sculptures he crafted were vivid. He must have imitated these carvings before. The 100 dragons' portraits were indeed crucial for cultivating Thunderclap 8 strikes, yet even more essential was Rulai's Mahayana Sutra. Without it, reaching the utmost peak of Thunderclap 8 strikes would be difficult. However, Chinmu had already comprehended the unity technique. His attainments in Thunderclap 8 strikes were no weaker than if he had cultivated Rulai's Mahayana Sutra. At that moment, a voice called out to him, "Coward!" Chinmu turned and saw a monk in white staring at him in astonishment. The face seemed familiar. Chinmu suddenly recalled. "So it is little monk Ming Xin. We met in the grammar temple of the Great Ruins." This little monk had been a disciple of old monk Jing Ming, who had brought him to find Old Ma and wagered the Katkara staff. Ming Xin had lost to Chinmu, and the staff had fallen into Chinmu's hands before being gifted to the devil ape. Monk Ming Xin approached swiftly. He had grown taller, now slightly exceeding Chinmu's height. Chinmu had only begun puberty half a year ago and had shot up in stature, though not yet enough. Ming Xin sized him up eagerly. "We have not met for years. I wonder how much your skills have improved." Chinmu sighed. "They have improved. Since defeating you, the tides have turned and my cultivation has advanced leaps and bounds." Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. When Chinmu caught sight of a familiar face, warmth stirred within his heart like spring water breaking through winter ice. Since childhood, he had roamed at the heels of Blind and Cripple. From the first moment memory took root in his mind, he had studied every manner of skill and doctrine beneath the stern instruction of the 9 elders of Disabled Elderly Village. It could be said that throughout his youth he had no companions of his own age, and thus his days were desolate and flavourless, dry as dust. Though he had crossed hands with Mong Ming Xin, but once they were of similar years, to meet him again amid this vast monastery, it was only natural that a trace of familiarity would arise. Monk Ming Xin softly recited one of the countless names of Buddha, using the sacred syllables to suppress the anger that flickered in his heart. A faint smile appeared upon his face. "You defeated me that day, yet today you may not prevail. After that loss, I reflected upon the pain and discerned my flaw. I have remedied it. Why not cross hands once more?" "You altered the sutra?" Chinmu asked, astonishment flashing across his features. Monk Ming Xin's expression brimmed with pride. "Last time you struck my throat and defeated me. This time I shall not allow you to succeed so easily." Chinmu cried out, "Monk Ming Xin, how many years have you lived? How can you alter Rulai's Mahayana Sutra at will? With your present insight and comprehension, the more you modify it, the more errors and flaws will form. Rather than change it carelessly, would it not have been better to seek Rulai's guidance and let him instruct you? I too have recklessly altered my own technique until it is beyond recognition, so I truly cannot rebuke you." A flush crept onto Chinmu's face. He himself had revised his arts more than once. The Overlord Body 3 elixir technique had undergone repeated transformation. The great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures had even been fused into it. Resolving the flaw upon his left shoulder, to accuse Monk Ming Xin of reckless alteration was no different from a pot calling the kettle black. Perhaps Ming Xin had indeed erased the weakness at his throat. Monk Ming Xin's aura began to rise, his fighting spirit stirring. In that case, would Cult Master Qin condescend to instruct me? Qin Mu was about to reply when an aged monk spoke sternly. Disciple, do not be impudent. This is Cult Master Qin of the Heavenly Devil Cult. Monk Mingxin started violently and exclaimed, When did you become the old devil of the Heavenly Devil Cult? Qin Mu let out a sigh. It is a long tale. I never sought the position, yet I was pushed onto the throne of Cult Master without room to refuse. His gaze shifted to the old monk, and he recognized him as old monk Jingming. This elder was Mingxin's master, and true to his name, his mind was keen and calculating. By proclaiming Qin Mu's identity as Devil Cult Master, he did not merely inform Mingxin, he declared it to every monk present. With that resounding announcement, all the monks studying the 100 Dragons portraits turned their eyes toward Qin Mu and quietly recited the many names of Buddha beneath their breath. Their thoughts churned. It was clear they struggled to restrain the urge to subdue the devil before them. Monk Mingxin hastily said, In that case, you must quickly renounce the title of Devil Cult Master. You are courting death. There are many eminent monks here who despise evil like mortal enemies and are accustomed to slaying devils. Whenever they descend the mountain, they subdue a few demons to accumulate merit. You will be killed! I shall not compete with you. Hurry and flee down the mountain. Qin Mu shook his head. Thank you for your concern, but I am presently a guest. Old Rulai is my senior brother and has permitted me to remain within the monastery. In that case, will they still subdue the devil? Mingxin hesitated. This, I cannot say. They will likely debate with you first and exhort you to turn over a new leaf. If they fail to persuade you, they will most likely beat you to death. Qin Mu fell silent. Indeed, several monks were already striding toward him. Amitabha! One monk pressed his palms together and posed a challenge. Devil, do you dare debate with me? Qin Mu asked calmly. Have you already cast off worldly temptations and attained indifference? The monk faltered. Not yet. Then what is there to debate? Qin Mu laughed aloud. You have not even attained your Tao. A half-baked monk such as yourself can only brandish second-hand misunderstandings. Step back. The monk was rendered speechless. Another monk immediately interjected. Devil, I will speak to you of truth, compassion, and beauty. Qin Mu asked. Are you Rulai? That monk's face flushed crimson. I am not yet Rulai. Then you have not attained truth. Qin Mu smiled faintly. Rulai embodies the true state of all things, the realization of truth itself. If you are not truth incarnate, how dare you speak of truth, compassion, and beauty? Withdraw and cease embarrassing yourself. When you have reached that height, we may speak. Do not impose upon others what you cannot achieve. If you would have others follow your words, first embody them. The monk stood mute. Another extended his hand, and golden springs surged from the earth as a lotus blossomed. Buddhism speaks of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, the highest perfect awakening, supreme perfect wisdom. Qin Mu asked, Have you attained supreme perfect wisdom? Fall back! Another monk burst into loud laughter. The Devil Cult Master's tongue is sharp indeed. Since you refuse to engage in scriptural discourse, let us speak of the secular world. Qin Mu brightened and approached him. Great monk, do not speak yet. Let me ask, if all under heaven converted to Buddhism, refrained from marriage, bore no children, would not the human race vanish within a century? What grievance do humans bear against you that you seek their eradication? The monk was stunned, then replied, What I wish to discuss is that your heavenly devil cult commits countless evils, and its magic arts are sinister and perverse, using living people as cultivation. Qin Mu cut him off. What is that compared to extinguishing the human race? The monk's eyes widened in fury. This is not what I intended to debate. Very well, let us discuss this. I once encountered a hallmaster of the Heavenly Saint cult who cultivated using infants. He was slain by my hand. Just now, I saw a monastery at the foot of Mount Meru raising strange beasts, mixing anesthetics into bloody meat to deceive the common folk. Whence came that meat? Were living beings slaughtered for it? I have purged the filth from my own sect. Now it is your turn. Go eradicate that monastery and kill those monks. The monk trembled with rage. This is not the subject of our debate. I wish to discuss the teachings. Our great Thunderclap Monastery possesses tens of thousands of scriptures, each passed down through generations, teaching compassion. Chinmu replied in astonishment. If your own Buddhism conceals corruption rather than cleanses it, if monks in your monasteries lack compassion, how can you teach others to be compassionate? Fools delight in lecturing others, yet cannot practice what they preach. Ah, you spoke of teachings? Then let us speak of teachings. The way of the sage is nothing more than that which can be applied by common people in daily life. Can your Dharma be used by common people every day? If it cannot, what use is it inscribed in books? If it serves no purpose, would it not be better to burn it? You devil! The monk could restrain himself no longer and lunged forward. Your arguments are twisted and your teachings harmful. You speak of burning scriptures and destroying Buddha. Your devil nature runs deep. I will fight you. Wait, Chinmu raised his hand, smiling faintly. You seek to kill me. Tell me, do your scriptures permit the taking of life? The monk halted, forcing down his fury. The scriptures counsel compassion and forbid taking life, yet against devils even Buddha is angered and subdues them. Chinmu asked, Is grass alive? Of course, the monk snapped. Seedlings grow from grass and become grains. Thus, grains are also lives. Why then do you eat them? You consume vegetarian food while chanting of compassion and truth, yet how many lives have perished within each mouthful you swallow? The older you grow, the more lives you have consumed. With what face do you speak of Buddha's heart and compassion? He withdrew a flower seed from his tauti sack and held it aloft. Executing the Earth Aeon creation technique, he caused a tender sprout to emerge. Roots burst from the husk, and a spirit grass rose within his palm. A bud formed, trembling gently before blooming into a delicate and lovely flower. Is it beautiful? Chinmu asked. The monk's gaze softened in spite of himself. Beautiful. Chinmu offered the flower to him. This flower is akin to the grains you eat. Its fruits. It is a beautiful life. How many such lives have you devoured? When will you repay them? If they gained spirit and cultivated into demons, would they not weep over the millions of their kin you have consumed? Do you not sense the countless souls of flowers and grasses surrounding you day and night, demanding repayment with your life? The monk held the blossom with both hands. Its beauty seemed to twist into something sinister and dreadful, as if demanding blood debt. Suddenly tears streamed down his face. He sat cross-legged upon the ground. I have eaten countless of your kind. My sins are immeasurable. I am willing to turn to ashes to nourish you. As his final words fell, karmic flames ignited around his body, consuming him utterly in an instant. Yet though the fire reduced him to ash, the delicate flower remained unscathed, settling gently upon the grey dust. Ashes return to ashes, dust to dust. In the end, cultivating Buddhism comes to nothing, fit only to serve as fertilizer. Chinmu crouched and gathered the ashes to plant the flower seedling. Monk, you have been useless all your life, but in death you are finally of use. This flower will flourish and bear many seeds, which will grow into yet more flowers. In the netherworld you may take comfort in this. Though the flower is not the common people, by using your ashes as nourishment, you have indeed fulfilled the principle of daily use by common people. Excellent, you and I tread the same path. He rose and surveyed the assembly. Though but a youth, the bearing of a cult master emanated from him as he spoke leisurely. Which great monk still wishes to debate? Silence engulfed the courtyard. Chinmu met the solemn gazes of the monks, yet one by one they lowered their eyes, unwilling to face him. In the distance, old Man Blind conversed with several elder monks. Witnessing the scene, Blind chuckled softly. If Mu'er remains in the great Thunderclap monastery and the monks do not immediately slay him, give him a few days and half the monastery will return to secular life, a small half will fall to devil possession, and those who remain will all be false monks. He surpasses even Granny Sai. Suddenly, a monk cried out sternly, He is the devil, a heavenly devil! He beguiles the crowd with demonic words. Another shouted, He used devilish speech to kill senior brother Shin Kong. We cannot let this devil live. Kill him and eradicate the evil. In an instant, fury erupted. The monks clamoured to subdue Chinmu and slay the devil. At that very moment, the youth threw back his head and laughed. His laughter grew louder and louder, drowning the uproar. Gradually the commotion faded, yet his mirth echoed on. When the laughter ceased, Chinmu's voice turned cold. You wished to debate, and so I debated. You invoked your sect's teachings, and I spoke of teachings. When you could not prevail, you spoke of taking life. Very well, I spoke of taking life. When even that failed, you now seek to kill me? What use is your cultivation of Buddhism? Withdraw. Return to your secular lives. Some monks stood dazed, their hearts hollow. After a moment, several sighed and truly turned away, going to pack their belongings to descend the mountain. The remaining monks stayed where they stood, faces dark and unsightly. Chinmu shook his head with a faint smile. So in the end, it comes to fists. If that is the case, why flaunt your shallow understanding first? His spirit surged, eyes flashing like lightning as he swept his gaze across them. Who comes to die?